playoffs in the bubble for the first time in history. It's your boy Dame. Subscribe to Dame's World if you haven't. If you have, you already know what this shit do. We got content ranging from hoops to social issues to racism to all type of issues that could be talked about. But today we're talking about NBA playoffs in the bubble. We're doing a little bit of foreshadowing. Last year we foreshadowed the Raptors going to the playoffs. I had them losing to the Warriors, barring a severe injury. Two people got injured, so the Raptors went. So we did call the finals last year, technically, without the W, but we called the participants. And this year we gonna do the same. We're gonna break down series for series who I think is gonna be fit to make it to the finals, barring injury or barring something like COVID or leaving the bubble, because you see a lot of that shit going on. Somebody leaves the bubble and they can't come back for 10 days. Mike Conley just had a child and he can't play 2 games because of it. But I'm gonna just assess my breakdown on how I think the bubble's gonna play out, series for series, all the way up to the finals. So let's get it. The first series, Magic versus the Bucks. Let's get this one out the way. Orlando is at home. That's the only home team. But they have no chance to contend. They might squeak 1 or 2 games. They're dark. They're one of those always 7th, 8th, 9th seed teams that can beat anybody, but they don't have the depth or the talent to withstand a team like Milwaukee Bucks, a team who's ready, a team who is, to me, at their peak for who they are, and their whole goal is championship this year, championship or bust. So I got the Bucks in 5, maybe 4 or 5 for Milwaukee Bucks, but an easy selling and an easy advance for that. The next series I have is the Heat versus the Pacers. Now this series ain't gonna be as easy. This series is going to be grimy. You got two mid-tier teams, two teams with all-stars, I would say, in Jimmy Butler, and somebody who's playing like Oladipo's an all-star, but he's battling back. But T.J. Warren, who's playing like an all-star and who rivals Jimmy Butler. That's the matchup I'm looking to see out this whole debacle. And then they're both evenly matched. They both have decent bigs, decent guard play, decent defensive team, not that superior of an offensive team on both ends. It's going to be an interesting series for me. I just think I like the Pacers as an overall unit more so than I like the Miami Heat. I feel like Miami Heat I feel like any team that has Jimmy Butler has an identity crisis. Whether it's the Bulls with Rose and him debating, T-Wolves with him, Towns and Wiggins, Sixers. I feel like wherever Jimmy Butler is, the team don't know what they doing. Jimmy want to be the GOAT and the leader, but it might not always entail that in certain spots. So I think this might be a tough series, but I have the Pacers in 6 in a grinded out series to advance against the Bucks. And another series that we have that's going to be a clean sweep. I think clean sweep this time, 4-0. Raptors versus the Nets. Raptors, to me, are the most complete team in this bubble. Last year they won the ring. They traded Kawhi, but they didn't lose a step with OG and the replacements. They have 2 positions or 2 players per position. And they're all clicking and they're all in synchronicity unison. So the Nets, with that, no Kyrie, no Kevin Durant, they don't stand a chance. I have the Nets losing 4-0 to a fine-tuned Raptors, to a team that's going back to the Eastern Conference Finals, in my opinion, for sure. So you have Raptors versus Nets, and then you have another tough series. Celtics versus the Sixers. Now we know Ben Simmons is out, but what we don't know is, are the Celtics better without Ben Simmons? Some would say no, some would say maybe. They got Ben Simmons ain't the spot up shooter for Joel Embiid when he wants to post up or do something like that. And their backup, Shake Milton, I believe, is a knockdown shooter and a scorer. So I don't know how they're gonna look with this new look Sixers team, but losing somebody of that magnitude on your team, no matter who you are, if you lose a second best player or third best player at this stage and this phase of the game, I don't think you're gonna be able to recoup. Not against a Boston Celtics team that's at least more thorough than you at the time. So I got the Celtics winning this one in how I see it, it would be 6. I can see 5 as well, but I don't see it going 7 being a strenuous series like that for them. Celtics have a lot of young youth. They're healthy. They got all their talent. Sixers are banged up, and Sixers are another team who suffers from an identity crisis. So I got the Celtics right there in 5, maybe 6. On to the West, on to the West, where it gets tougher, at least in my opinion. First, you got Lakers versus the Blazers. Now, to say the very least, it's going to be entertaining. You got Damian Lillard on a fucking tangent. You got Carmelo Anthony finally seeing LeBron James for the first time in about 8 years in the playoffs. And this rivalry has lasted since 2003. It's a friendly rivalry, but it's a rivalry nonetheless. What I expect to see is Carmelo Anthony go at LeBron James's neck. And I expect LeBron James to be ready for that challenge, knowing the type of person Carmelo Anthony is. But I also expect games to be a lot more closer than people may think. All high-scoring affairs, even though the Lakers haven't been shooting well in the bubble. But the Blazers' defense has been atrocious. So I think the Lakers are going to turn it up, particularly Anthony Davis. I think this is going to be a 30, 35 points per game series for AD, which will prevail them. But I do think games are going to get tough. Games are going to get grimy. I think with that being said, though, as grimy as the games are going to be, I think Portland might get one out the deal. I can see a sweep, but I won't give the sweep yet because the Lakers haven't been playing good enough since they came back to the bubble for me to warrant a sweep. So I'll say 4-1 in a series that looked tougher than it was on paper. That's what I can say about that Blazers series. Now, another tough series. Oh my goodness. Thunder versus the Rockets. Russell Westbrook is out game 1. Eric Gordon is starting game 1. I don't think the Rockets can beat the Thunder. The Thunder are a complete team. The Thunder have a leader who is taking these young Bulls by the helm, and Chris Paul, and taking them where they need to be. SGA balling. Galley balling. They got bigs. They got depth. They got athleticism. They're grimy. They play defense. They have a solid offense. Rockets are still 4 men out, and Harden do your thing with an injured Westbrook, which is, for me, if they had Westbrook healthy, for sure. I don't know if he's healthy or if it's the COVID or not. I know he's out game 1, but I think he's not healthy. So, without Westbrook, I have the Thunder winning this series in 6. I have the Thunder winning this series and taking that opening game without Westbrook. I think they're more complete. I think that James Harden show and go shit is only good for the regular season. And in these critical moments, you're going to see that shit get stifled. Even though you're going to see the Bucks beat the Magic, you're going to see the Magic play Antetokounmpo's strategy of 4 out, 1 in a little bit better than you've seen in the regular season when they 35, 10, and 10, right? So I have the Thunder advancing in that round in 6. If Westbrook comes back, I do give the Rockets a chance, but they're undermanned and they're have a huge size disadvantage when it comes to the Thunder. So rebound is gonna be terrible for them. So I got the Thunder in 6, advancing. Nuggets versus Jazz. Mike Conley missed the first 2 games. So this is going to be some bullshit for the Jazz. And honestly, I think the Jazz are a more gritty team. I think they're more playoff prepared than the Nuggets. Nuggets have a lot of youth in Michael Porter Jr., the young Bulls. And I don't think they are the tough type team to be a playoff contender. I think they're a great regular season team. But in the playoffs, I see them struggling against gritty, grimy defensive teams and elite teams as well. Mike Conley's out for the first 2 games, however, with that being said. So for me, I did have the Jazz when they were healthy. Now, it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. I'll probably say I have the Nuggets in 7, and the only series in the first round that goes 7, be it that Mike Conley was hurt or had to leave the bubble and come back. Had he not left the bubble, I would have the Jazz in 7 or Jazz in 6, but I think the Nuggets will prevail solely for the fact that Conley missed these first 2 games and they're going to take a 2-0 jump. You call me on that in a couple months. We're going to see. And lastly, of the first round, which will be my favorite round, I think, the Mavericks versus the Clippers. And this is going to be my favorite one to watch because I know Luka Doncic ain't no bitch. I know he's a killer in heart and mind state. I know he ain't scared of a challenge. So this is going to be a hell of a challenge for him to overcome in his first playoff appearance. He has a plethora of wings that will be defending him, all of who are already established and elite defenders in my book. You talk about Paul George, who probably will start off on him out the gate. Then you're going to have him being interchangeable with Kawhi Leonard. Then you talk about these picks being set. We know Luka Doncic is a primary pick and roll player if he's not doing a step back off the dribble. You know Patrick Beverley might end up on him a couple of cases, giving him a hard time. The Clippers are going to be running a gauntlet at Luka Doncic. And then in the meantime, you got Kristaps Porzingis, who's been balling. He's going to have some grimy shit on his hands. The Clippers play tough and they play gritty and they play grimy. My ultimate goal for this is to see how Luka Doncic fares in this and to see how it will take him in his career overall. Because we know for the regular season, for 2 years straight, he's been a prime performer. We haven't seen him in the playoffs, and we haven't seen him in a arena where defense is going to be a priority for some niggas. Clippers going to come in instantly playing defense. You mark my words. Bet the under in that first game. That's just my opinion. But with that being said, I think Luka's going to struggle. I want to see how he fares, but I think he's going to struggle, shoot probably under 43% from the field and not have nearly the stats that he had, be it that this gauntlet is sent on him. And I think the Clippers will win in 5, maybe 6 if Mavericks push it to the brink. But if they can contain Luka, you can contain the Mavs, and I think they will contain Luka. So you got Clippers in 6. Second round. Bucks versus Pacers. Now, Pacers gonna come from a grimy ass series, and Bucks gonna come from a clean cut shaving of the Magic. So with that being said, they're gonna be primed and ready for a depleted Pacers team who might put up a little bit of fight, but I think at the end of the day, the Bucks already gonna have the Pacers number, and that's gonna be the Bucks in 6, maybe 5. Maybe the Pacers can pull it out. I don't know. If they're healthy with Depot, Warren, Sabonis, I like their 5 and I like their team. I just don't see them beating the Bucks. I think the Bucks are just one step ahead of them right now. Maybe the Pacers are one piece away from being that contender, but right now I just don't see it. So I got the Bucks advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics versus Raptors. Now I like the Celtics. I like Kemba, I like Tatum, I like these young Bulls. And I be rooting for these young Bulls. It's just, I think they have too many like pieces, and they don't have the overall camaraderie, let alone the formula for a championship. Their bigs are, like, spotty. They don't really have a person to dump it down low to. And they're maxed out with wing players. All talented, but I just don't see the formula and the camaraderie yet for this Celtic team. I think they need to make one critical move. It may be trading somebody who's good, a Jaylen Brown maybe, or whoever it may be, in order to be a formidable opponent offensively, defensively, have your remedy and how you want to compete as a Celtics. I think they're just talented without the remedy right now. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Raptors in 6 or 7 in a tough, grimy series but I think the Raptors will again prevail and make it to the Eastern Finals. Lakers versus Thunder. Now, I want to pick the Thunder so bad. I want to pick the Thunder so bad because the Lakers haven't shown me nothing in this bubble that showed me that they're just head and shoulders above everybody. They've looked good on paper, but they've showed me that they can be contained. But with that being said, I don't see the firepower from the Thunder to withstand. If they do beat the Lakers, it would have to be via coaching and via strategy, honestly, and via hitting them open shots. But I don't see it, especially with the whole, and this is the thing, I factor in other factors, external factors, outside of the floor. Kobe Bryant passing, NBA loves a narrative. These sports facilities love a narrative. I think it's going to be favorable for the Lakers given all of the circumstances that played out right now, and for the Lakers to possibly win a ring or be put in a position to win a ring. I can't see past a business like the NBA overlooking that opportunity. And we just going to put it like that. So I got the Lakers advancing in a tough series that might look funny. It might look funny if you assess it, you feel me? Because I think the Thunder really do have a chance with honest, scrupulous basketball being played. But Lakers advance in a tough one. Nuggets versus Clippers. Clippers advance. I don't think that would be a tough series for them. They got it's a gritty, grimy team versus a team that's like to dance around and play and shoot jumpers and not contest layups and shit. Easy series for the Clippers. Clippers advance to the Western Conference Finals. And now, the Western Conference Finals. Bucks versus the Raptors. This is going to be tough. This is going to be tough, but I know Nick Nurse got the formula to guard a nigga like Giannis, and I know they got 12 players capable of playing. And I don't trust Giannis and Eric Bledsoe like that. I think they can lock Middleton. I think they can lock that 4-out, 1 ISO ball formula. So with that being said, I got the Raptors in 6. And this is when Giannis and the Bucks have to reestablish their agenda. After they lose this year, they got to figure out what pieces to get around Giannis because this remedy ain't cutting it. This strategy ain't cutting it, whether it be leaving the coach or readjusting the lineup to favor Giannis' strategy. But this season, I think, will tell Giannis, okay, we got to do something different. So the Raptors advance to the finals for the second year in a row without Kawhi Leonard in my prediction. Hey, take notes. Possible Bucks, but I have the Raptors from my eyes and from how I see it. I think it's not going to be easy to take them out. So you got the Raps advancing in the East on my radar. And then you have Clippers versus the Lakers. What we've all known for 6 months, that the Clippers and the Lakers was going to meet in the Western Conference Finals. So let's not pussyfoot around it. Who we got winning? I do not see still from the beginning to the end. Roster, intensity, toughness, down the stretch, get a bucket, isolation game, everything that is required in the playoffs, I see the Clippers possess. A superstar, another star, scorers that can get it on their own, scorers that can facilitate, they can shoot, they have defensive mentality players. Lakers are older. They don't have good isolation game. Anthony Davis shoots over people in his isolation game, and he might be the best isolation player they have right now. LeBron James is getting older. His isolation game is not that good. He can facilitate, but he's still dependent on Danny Green and other players to knock down shots. And I don't think that's going to be the formula that will win a chip this year. But I will say, again, with the narrative of Kobe Bryant passing and the Lakers being in here in this position with LeBron James, the league's baby, who knows what will happen. Maybe everybody on the Clippers somehow got COVID. Lakers get a clean advancement to the finals at that rate. But I got the Clippers in 6. I don't see it no other way other than the Clippers in 6. Lakers squeezing 2, but the Clippers ending it up in 6. And then you have Clippers versus the Raptors in the finals, which makes it kind of storybook because Kawhi was just over there. Now he over here trying to win over here when he just won over there. So you got the Clippers Raptors matchup, and I think this is gonna be the best series of the fucking year. I think the Raptors are gonna put up a fight against the Clippers. They gonna know Kawhi style. Clippers are gonna be battling. I don't think Kawhi gonna get off for sure. I think he gonna have a tough series, and I think it might go 7. To be honest, 6 or 7 is just, will the Clippers have enough firepower to keep up with the scoring? The Raptors have enough firepower to keep up with the scoring, even if you get to stifle a Kawhi, because you still got PG, you still got Lou, and you still have pieces around the Clippers that can create and that make them dangerous offensively, and they get back on D. Both these teams play defense well. So ideally, I would like to see Clippers versus Raptors. I think if not Clippers versus Raptors, we might get Clippers versus Bucks. We might get Lakers versus Bucks, but I just don't see Bucks and Lakers being the best team in their conference. So with that being said, I got the Clippers versus the Raptors, and I got the Clippers winning that in 6, maybe 7. So I'll stamp it by saying Clippers in 6 for my final prediction. Kawhi hoisting the trophy, winning 3 championships on 3 teams for the first time. PG getting his first ring. Lou Williams getting his first ring. And this is all something I figure doing the eye test, watching these motherfuckers. I factor the outside factors, so I might be wrong if the outside factors prevail and they give it to the Lakers. That's how I really feel. I think this is a narrative season 2. My eyes tell me Clippers Raptors, but the narrative tell me that they might hoist up LeBron's 4th ring. But we gonna see. You let me know your thoughts, your comments. That's the full breakdown. I think it's gonna be Clippers Raptors, and I think it's gonna be a good ass series. I think this playoffs should be interesting. I'm excited to see this Rockets Thunder series. I'm excited to see Pacers and Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler and TJ Warren go at it. I'm excited to see how the Lakers come out against Dame and Melo and McCullough and them. So let me know your thoughts and your comments. NBA playoffs starting in a couple of hours. My predictions is laid out before then. So when I get all this shit right, don't do nothing but thank me later, nigga. Dang.